Also, I don't think Aisha understands. A lot of these guys DJ has been on, so there's patterns here. So it's not just today, you know. So I didn't see her be disrespectful at all. I feel like we all are very direct and we all say what we want to say to each other. And I don't understand why people again find a way to say that it's disrespectful. I think people use that word too loosely because I don't think anybody disrespected anybody. Everybody gave their opinion, whether they agree or disagree.
So, Coco, if you call an Army veteran PTSD, that's not disrespectful.
If I call an Army veteran PTSD,
Yeah,
Yes.
constantly.
I said that explains a lot of how he disrespects women on a regular
No, you.
basis, his
That's not.
aggressiveness, how he tells women, how
Um,
he judges women on this
We
panel
like you say a
constantly,
lot of
That's
things.
not. That's not what. If you
how he
say, if I
convicts
say,
women all the time, no matter what we're talking about. He's very heavy-handed with women on this panel. I've seen it time and time and time again.
so
And
you
at the
didn't,
end of the day, the
you didn't.
PTSD would explain a lot
That's
to
no.
me
That's not what you did.
in
That's not what
regards
you
to
did.
how he deals with people
When he
and
was
how he
talking,
has this level of
DJ.
conviction that is beyond religion, that is beyond Bible, that is beyond anybody's understanding, beyond the understanding of a position of a man that is married. I don't understand why you're so heavy-handed with people and how they live their lives, and your conviction towards
So
people and you wanting to convict others. So when I say, oh, you were in the army, that makes sense. This is signs of PTSD, the level of aggression, the level of the ideology of convicting others as if you're on this moral high ground. It makes sense to me. It comes
DJ,
together.
right,
that's not what.
right.
That's not what you did. You said
But Sweeney, address it. So if a woman is going through postpartum, which you invalidated that women can be physical during that time, you
I did
justified it,
not.
and you said that, oh, postpartum is real. You did. You justified it, and you said it was valid. So if a man, and then Sweeney used that about if a man is that way and being physical with someone and abusing someone, that shouldn't be justified. And you're speaking of it in a negative way, but he hasn't done nothing like that. He hasn't raged on nobody in this in on this panel. So when you used it to invalidate him and discredit him, and you use it to be disrespectful. You did it. That's why you kept saying PTSD.
No, actually,
you
what I
said
did was
okay
called out the false
PTSD.
equivalency, because the example that Sweeney gave was something that women do psychologically with PTSD, and he compared that to physical abuse that is a result of PTSD going untreated. And I called out the false equivalency. I didn't dismiss either condition. I said, how were you going to compare a physical abuse to somebody going through something
Yes,
psychological
you
as a
did.
result
I
of
agree.
postpartum depression? Now,
I agree.
when you bring in physical abuse, it's wrong on any side, and I
Right.
conceded to
But
that.
you
But that
discredit.
wasn't the
No.
initial example given. He put up postpartum depression and a woman getting emotional to a man physically abusing a woman, and I dispelled the
Right. But
the false
you
equivalency.
would be
That's what I
right, and you
did.
would be right if you called Sweeney PTSD all night, but you called Bruiser's PTSD all night because he's an Army veteran. Bruiser didn't bring up that point.
When he
Sweeney did.
no, when
No, no,
he
man.
said
I'm
that,
still I'm
I
still
said
talking. I
that
didn't
it
cut you.
makes sense
I'm
because I
still
have
talking.
past
I'm still talking. I
experience
didn't cut
on the
you off.
panel.
And this is how you've been disrespectful all night to a lot of the panelists. You did it to Aisha as well too. While they were talking, you cut them off. You invalidated a lot of what the brothers were saying. You have been disrespectful, but you were calling him. You said he was an Army veteran PTSD. Sweeney made that statement, not Bruiser. And you kept and right back to the very end of this, you still were calling him PTSD because he's an Army veteran.
I feel like the PTSD explains a lot to me about his character. That's my
Right.
assessment. I'm entitled to that. And as
Mm-hmm.
far as you feeling disrespected, that is your feelings that you have to
Right.
reconcile with. How you experience me is you. That has nothing to do with me.
Right. And that's why brothers opt out a lot of marriage today, because you only care about how something affects you.
Then
You
that's
don't
why
care.
brothers
You,
opt
you
out of
don't you
marriage,
don't
because it's so
care.
lovely.
You don't care about how it affects women, how it affects brothers. And then you ask a brother to communicate. You ask him to be vulnerable again, and you showcase what kind of type of woman you are by using it against them, by calling her PTSD. And he's not even your man. He served in the military, and he's a married man. And what's odd is a lot of times the way women want to invalidate men, they'll go, "Are you married?" But these are married brothers that you're disrespecting. Sweeney's married. Darman married. Trav married. You ain't disrespect Marcus, but he's married too. And they're giving advice. So if married brothers who are giving advice that are married doesn't work, what does work for you. If and what it apparent to me is if you're not told what you want to hear, then you invalidate it, which a lot of women do. And that's why brothers leave unhappy relationships. That's why brothers get away from relationships even when they have kids, because there's chaos there. And that's why brothers, when they're in marriages, they check out inside of the marriage before the woman leaves, and women will say that as well too. So until women truly cooperate with men, love men, and truly care about what they're going through, because they're the ones that need to get the relationship, we give you the relationship, we're going to still have these problems, because you even validate the brothers that you're not even attached to. So I can only imagine how you treat someone that you are attached to emotionally.
Keep on imagining. But while we're imagining, let's imagine what those marriages are like that we know nothing about. They can be in miserable marriages. They can be in failing marriages. And the data shows us that a lot of marriages are failing because women are leaving at a high rate. So I don't look at their marriage as a moral high ground to give me any advice.
But you're demonstrating the type of behavior that makes men leave the marriages. If me and you were together and our daughter behaved like you did and talked to a certain man like that you don't want our son to be spoken to, you'd have a problem with that. You wouldn't want nobody on here talking to your father like the way you talk to men, your brothers like you talk to men, or someone you truly care about. So we shouldn't talk to no women like that. Why do you think you should be able to talk to men like that if you don't want us to talk to men in your family that way?
And I don't want my son talking to any woman the way y'all talk to women.
You didn't address what I said.
The way y'all tell women to submit to you like they're your slaves. Submission is for slaves. First of all, let's make that clear. Yeah.
Aisha and Kim. Do you feel like but there's other women on here? Who do we try to make them hit?
As I said before, if I'm not disrespected, I'm not disrespecting. So when everybody else gave their advice, I let it live. I didn't interrupt you, sir. I didn't interrupt him, or him. I let everybody speak. I showed respect. And when it was my time to speak, I was disrespected. So your disrespect is going to get met with disrespect. It's not because you're a man that you're safe. If you disrespect me, I will disrespect you. I promise you on everything. I will disrespect you.
And that's, again, our women, like everybody check but them when they have a man. If you rewind this, you were the first one to interrupt it. Now, I'm not going to say first one interrupted. I'll take that. I'm not sure who interrupted, but you were the first one to throw that PTSD jab. And then if you say you have the right to match someone's energy when you disrespected, then the brothers had free will to do whatever they wanted to do to you after that, but they didn't do that. But hold on. Let me hold on. I didn't cut you off, but they didn't do that. Now, if you use the chuckle as that, then you would have to say they had the right to do it because they met your disrespect with disrespect. So you'd have to hold you accountable about that because those are your rules. You said if you disrespect me, I get the right to match your disrespect, and you disrespected them prior to that disrespect. So you have to accept that they met you with that disrespect. If
I've
they
been disrespected by Darwin many times, and so have other women on this panel. The bottom line, I haven't seen you on this panel. This is my first time seeing you or speaking to you on this panel. But just my last experience on this panel, I watched him tear down a woman who's like practically Florence Nightingale. I mean, this woman, really. So when I see you tear down a kind person like that, you can't tell me that at the end of the day, you don't have something going on. And that was my personal assessment. It was an assessment. It wasn't a name. It wasn't anything. That's just my assessment. Usually when I see people who have that level of visceral for someone who's completely non-combative, I'm within my right to draw a conclusion, and that's my conclusion, and I stand by that conclusion. And that conclusion was made earlier. There was no reason for me to be interrupted in any way. That banter happened hours ago. We're all giving our advice. I let everyone give their advice, whether I agree, right, wrong, or indifferent. When I speak, if I'm interrupted or disrespected, then don't question why the disrespect comes back at you. It's going to come back.
But you also, not only did you break your rule, you didn't support a rule that you just made just then. You said he disrespected someone else, and now you moved the goalpost that he disrespected someone else on another panel, so you disrespected him. But you should have supported Aisha when she supported him. You should have supported Aisha when she supported him when you disrespected him. If you're supporting a sister who got disrespected by him on another panel, you should have supported him if you disrespected him and she was supporting him in the moment that you disrespected her.
I should have supported who? Aisha?
You said right now you were supporting a sister that Bruiser disrespected. You disrespected him on this panel, and she was supporting him because you disrespected him. She supported the chain of events. So you should have supported her because you were supporting her.
She disrespected her. I used to call her a
She
pick-me.
wasn't being supported because she only acknowledged once the reaction.
So
She
why did you
didn't
disrespect
acknowledge
her,
the
though?
action that caused the
She
reaction.
was completely harmless.
And that's
We can
why
rewind
I
it. I tried to
responded to
speak
her the way
earlier,
I
but you
did.
wouldn't stop talking like you normally do. I actually tried to speak earlier. Sweeney, on my line, I tried to get in way earlier. I waited till everybody was dead, and I just reiterated my point. So I am definitely not a pick-me. I definitely have my own voice and my own view. You already know, we've been on this before. I have very conservative views. So sometimes my views might not align with a lot of women on the panel, and I understand that. I respect you all. I just felt like the words that you were using and how you were using them was disrespectful, but I wasn't trying to take a jab at you or say anything. I feel like you're very educated. A lot of your views, we sometimes do align, but I don't align with you on the disrespect, the tone, the way that you speak to men, the way I don't align with you on that part. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have very thorough points, very educated. I listen to the things you say, but when it comes to the tone of voice, the way you speak to our Black men, it just rubs me the wrong way. I don't understand it because I can have a disagreement. I probably have disagreed with every man on the panel, right? But I don't take that tone with them because I understand that they have wives. I wouldn't speak to them in person. If I seen them in person, I want to be able to walk up to Darwin and give him a hug and say, "What's up?" I don't want to feel like I said something wrong that would be disrespectful to him, his wife, his kids, or anyone around him. So I think that when we're on panels like this, we it's a way to get your point across without saying certain words or using certain language. That's all I'm trying to say. Like,